we're live again. It's Sunday evening. Figured instead of editing videos, I'd rather just do this with you watching, and then I don't have to put it on my computer and edit everything. So we got more welding to do. I'm going to get this loaded up on my computer just in case somebody has a comment or two or three. I love comments, negative or positive. And it says we're live. So we got more welding to do. I went and finished, I ground off a bunch of the welds from this morning, and now I've got to get more welds back on. We got to do the next size or the next side, and hopefully the next size or the next side. I put this on the TV so I can see that we're oriented correctly. Perfect. So let's drag the welder out and start welding. But we've got the pillar here that I need to weld in. I had to do a relief cut there, because this was wider than the top here. So I just cut it down the middle and hammered it back, and now it's nice and flush so I can weld that all in. Probably just start there, huh? How's everybody's Sunday? Oh, thank you for asking. I had a great Sunday. I got a lot of stuff done. Stuff that I didn't want to do. And things just happened. Things just kind of came together. Do I want to put the microphone on? I'm going to do this one without the microphone. If you guys can't hear me and you want to hear me, let me know and I'll hook up the microphone. I'll take a pause here in a little bit and we'll check comments. But I'm just going to start here. You know what? I better get a light. There we go. It's a lot easier to weld when you can see. So I got my air. I use this after I put some welds on. I can use that and cool it off real quick so I don't warp the metal. But you got to turn the thing on. Got to have the gas on too. Well, it's not even plugged in. Boy, we're not off to a very good start. Thought I was all prepared. I wasn't. Let's try this guy out. Put this in the... Well, we're going to plug this machine in. I apologize for not being very prepared here. That thing when you hit the live button, it isn't kidding. You're like live when you hit the live button. It's not like, hey, let's give you 10 minutes. I guess I could have pushed the button a little bit later. All right. We're on. Oh yeah. That's what we want. Now I'm going to go to the other side because this is still warm. I'll go over here. And if you're joining us for the first time, this is a 37 Chevrolet pickup cab. And it's a friend of mine's truck. It floated around the Rogue Valley here for 10 years. And we recently bought it back. It had been in the car club previously, Dive Bomber's Garage. And it disappeared for a while and we got it back. But this time we're actually going to do something with it. Just kind of wandered around as parts. So we chopped it 4 inches. This is the third weekend I've been working on this cab. I can't say I'm excited it's been here that long. But I'm just glad it's getting done. Who worked on their car today? Or I should say cars. I had to go get dog food, so I took Gold Rush. I drove it like I was at the drag strip. Didn't get caught either. See if we got any comments. Oh, Wallace is in. What's up? I plugged the microphone in. I know that when I have my hood on, you can't hear me if I got my hood down and I don't have a microphone. So I plugged the microphone in. You were with us this morning. I hope you worked on your car today. Or cars, or trucks. Oh, this roof. Just gonna make the best out of what we got. So if you missed this morning, we talked about how this filler rod, this MIG wire is supposed to be easy grind. And I just spent about an hour grinding what we welded on this morning and yesterday. And I don't think that it's necessarily easier to grind. It's easier to grind for me because I've been using 3.5 for so long. This is the first time I've used 2.3, and I wish I would have done this a long time ago. It is a lot easier to clean up. You don't end up building up a big pile of weld. But I don't know, just it's 2.3. I think I threw the box away. It's in the previous videos, but I wouldn't consider it easy grind. It's supposed to be. I welded too much there. I should have stopped. This is a bad spot to heat your metal up to. Figured out how to get my live to play sideways so it's big on the TV. I don't know what's a better way to do them, whether you should do them so people can look at it on their phone or if people are sitting at home watching it on their TV. But for me, I like to see it on the big screen. I got a big screen there. I can see myself. I can't believe you guys are watching this. Well, I get it. I'd be watching the same thing. You'd think I'd put on some nicer clothes. But I didn't. I just like to wear what's already dirty. Usually everything. Well, I don't like that. it was supposed to rain today, and it ended up being really nice. Richard and I were able to go for a cruise. We had to get Richard his dog food because he was out. I can spin the camera a little bit and you can see him. Where he likes to sit. Well, let's see if we got any comments. Wallace, no way. You have a 69 442? That's awesome. How big of a project is that? Is it a runner? You know, I've never had an Oldsmobile. I had a 71 Buick Riviera. That was probably one of the cars that I regret selling the most. That and a 63 Coupe de Ville. But I've never had an Oldsmobile, especially not a 442. That's awesome. Hopefully that doesn't sound awful. Probably does. So is that Cutlass a convertible? That's something you just don't see. You know, you go to a car show, you see a ton of Chevelles, you see a ton of Camaros. Nice. Oh no, you got to do body work. No wonder you're watching this channel. I didn't, so when I started doing this YouTube thing, body work was not my main focus that I was going for. I just like working on cars. It just so happens all of the stuff I've been doing recently is body work. But I also don't pick out the nicest cars to work with. I go for what's in the budget. And the wagon there, it was in the budget. And it was actually the same guy that owns this cab. He had that car. He's a good friend of mine. He was given that wagon, and I was trying to sell it for him. And it was just that it was two different colors of brown, It had a light brown on the top and a dark brown on the bottom. It was just disgusting. And I used some citrus strip. It's like a paint remover. I used it years ago on an old farmhouse, and I thought I'd try it on that paint to get rid of the brown, and it worked. It took that top layer off and left the original color underneath, and I was so excited. That was after I bought it, but now I'm really attached to that wagon. But it still needs a lot of body work, which we'll get there. Those front fenders are a mess still, but they've come a long way. That passenger side fender was, I think that it was driven over at one time. It was completely flat. And I tried to buy a set of fenders, but I was not successful. Sorry about this noise. I was hoping to not do any of this, but I just can't weld this unless it's flat. So is the 442 going to go back to stock color? Them things are rare. I think it's cooler than a Camaro, for sure. Cooler than a Chevelle. I still like them all. There isn't a car that there isn't many cars out there that I dislike. I've had quite a few. Wallace, we were talking about TIG welding this morning, and that's all I can think about is getting a TIG machine in here. It's probably been 6 years. I did my rear quarter panel on my Suburban, and it did not turn out very good. And after I did that job, I sold that welder. Boy, I'm making a bigger mess out of this. We're just going to roll with it. Man, I was at the store and Christmas decorations. I'm just not a Christmas. Just don't get excited about Christmas. I don't like what, it's more about what did you get, not anything else. Which I don't have kids, so other than Richard. Well, we're going to call this part done. Oh boy, it's hot. I'm really dreading doing the middle of the roof. I've got to put a support on the inside of the cab and push up on it when I weld that, because it still has this roof was completely caved in. And I mean, Wallace, you probably saw it. We beat on this thing. It took me an entire day hammering on this to get it up to where I could just cut it. So it's a mess. It's better than it was. It's getting better. But we still got a lot to do to it. Oh, let's spin this thing around. I'm going to turn this thing around and get to a spot that we can keep going on. Boy, having this on casters has been really nice. I think there's a spot here and there. But for those of you that haven't seen this, I'll show you the back. This is what we worked on last night. The back of this turned out pretty good. I used a 4-inch piece of steel that I contoured to the cab, and I screwed it in, and I used it as a template and a guide. So I ran my grinder along that metal and took the 4 inches out using that piece of steel, and the lines came out really good. It lined up nice, and I kept the big window. A lot of these chops, they'll chop it through the window, and you'll end up with like a 2-inch piece of glass. I didn't want that. Even though this isn't my cab, I made the judgment call on that one. But I like the big window. That way, if you got a rear view mirror, you can see out of it. We've got this little one to do. There's another little spot over here. And then I got to do this whole corner. I just want to wrap this corner up. This is how the grinding turned out. I'm pretty happy. Where did I? Here it is. Who all welds? Since I was a kid, I wanted to know how to weld. So when I got in I think must have been in my 20s, bought a little Lincoln, I think it was a Lincoln 140, and started welding with that. I think flux core. No, it had gas, but I started playing around with it and never really figured it out until I started working for a construction company that did welding, and that's who trained me. They didn't really train me, they just showed me some tips, and that's when I started really figuring out stuff, and I'm still learning. I wouldn't consider myself a professional welder by any means. But when I was a kid, my dad had this 65 panel. That was like our childhood hot rod, I guess. And it was just completely rusty. And we used to drive around town trying to find somebody who would do the patchwork to weld up the rust holes. And ever since then, I just wanted to know how to weld so I could fix it. Well, this is turning out to be a mess. That's the problem with these live videos. You get to see all the mistakes that I usually cut out. It's easy to make mistakes. Sure, this is going to be an easy one. All original on the 442. I think you have to with a car that rare. Two 69 Roadrunners? Badass. Did you ever arc weld on a car? Wow, 269 Roadrunners. How many years have you had those? Those things are expensive. Where did I put my hammer? You know, that's another car I haven't had. I haven't had any Mopars. Not because I don't like them, they've just always been so expensive. Ooh, yeah, that's perfect. Kinda. Yeah, okay. Let's do that then. Are those Roadrunners complete? You know, the car I've always been a fan of is the early 50s Studebaker. And I saw Tony Angelo just got one on Stay Tuned. I really like those, that specific year. I don't know, I think it's a 53. It's got that like slant nose. I really like those cars. I'd really like this to push out, stay out. But that car that Tony's got now, that's got a Oldsmobile motor in it. This is a cool car. I think that's just going to be what it's going to be. And then when it's welded, it'll be like that forever. We're just going to go for it. Man, I don't like this at all. This thing's got a dip where I'm welding it. It really isn't that bad, but I know if I weld it, it's going to make that dip worse. Why didn't we have this problem earlier? Let's find a solution. Maybe if I push out where I just welded. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that sounded nice. If anyone's still watching. Oh, yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, let's keep burning some metal here. This going live is a lot easier than video in it and then sitting there at your computer editing for another hour. I appreciate you guys watching this, if you're watching. I can get a lot more done doing it this way. Yep. Hey, you got to get out of here. Go on. Richard, this is the time he normally eats. But I already fed him because I knew he would bug me right about now. But I'm thinking he thinks that it's still, even though he's already been fed. Hey, you got to go. You can't be around this. Get in your chair. Get in your chair. Come on, get in your chair. Yeah, okay. Well, I think we're in good shape here. I think that the best part of this whole job is the back of the cab. And no one will ever look at it, except for me. Question is, what should we do with the paint on this? I know it's not my call, but I have some say. Do we paint the whole thing one color? Do we save the patina? The patina on this truck is really good. But when you put all this fresh weld and a bunch of grinding marks, you got to do something. Suppose you could do a different color on the roof. Leave the patina from this body line down. That would be kind of cool. Tell us what you think. Personally, I'd like to see some gold on this thing. Boy, I don't like... I want that to... Why did that side turn out so good? Why is this side like it is? This is the good side too. That driver's side, that has been a lot of work. I'm going to grab a pry bar. See if I can't just maybe do some paintless dent removal here. I don't think what I'm doing is going to do anything. I think I just need to beat on that seam some more. Yeah, there we go. I saw it on the inside. I think it's doing what I want it to. Yeah. Okay. I want to see more about this Roadrunner. Ooh, brandy wine. So, Gold Rush, when I like fantasized about painting Gold Rush, instead I just threw a bunch of paint on it because I wanted to drive it. I wanted to do black roof with some gold and then candy apple, which some people call candy apple brandy wine, I think. But golden brandy wine, that's, yeah. I feel like this thing would look pretty good after you put a gallon of body filler on it. That was another reason I didn't paint Gold Rush, is I didn't want to do all the body work. Body work is very difficult to do. Because you really have to worry about, like how long is it going to last? How many times have you seen a chunk of Bondo on a hot rod falling off because they didn't do something under whatever layer they put that over? Years ago, I took a 66 Suburban that I owned and did a full paint job on it. It was beautiful. And we went down to bare metal, used slick sand, and did a ton of work to this thing. Painted it, turned out just amazing. And like 6 months later, where I had fixed some of the metal, I had put a metal prep. It kills the rust. Well, apparently it kept eating the rust and it bubbled the paint. That was devastating. So we fixed it. We figured out why it did it. We fixed it, and then I sold it. That was the last painted car I've ever had. I really like cars that have the original paint on it that's like worn out. That's how the Suburban is. Never owned a Camaro either. I think that's kind of weird. Definitely never owned a Corvette. Almost. I drove a Corvette for like 2 days thinking I was going to buy it because I worked at a car dealership. It was fun to drive. I just didn't like getting in and out of the thing. Felt like I was stuck on the inside. Then you're driving around and you're like looking at their tire. It was fun to drive though. I can't tell if that's welded there or not. Well, we're getting around this corner. I like it here, but I don't like it there. I might have to cut that weld. I might have to cut all these. It's fine right here. Now, I'm gonna have to cut that out. I can cut that out later. I wanted to do this video, but not run the grinder. So I tried to do all the grinding before you all got here. Because I figured, who would want to watch somebody run a grinder? You know, it's different when you edit out the sound, and like when I edit out the grinding, I turn the sound off and I usually put music on or something, and then I speed it up. Which I don't know, maybe watching somebody weld is boring too. And I don't really have any good stories this morning or this afternoon. I feel like I had some good ones this morning, and then this afternoon I just feel like I can't think of anything good to share. Maybe somebody else has a story. I know Richard's got some, but he's speechless. Went and got dog food. And I always take Richard with me so he gets to, sniff all the dog food on the dog food aisle. And then we pick the one that's perfect. But man, dog food. Whew. There was a bag of dog food that was $80 for, I want to say it was 40 pounds. That is crazy. We didn't get that one. I don't even think he cares what it is as long as it resembles food. You wouldn't believe what he eats. This is where that bullet hole was in the roof. We're leaving the bullet hole in the door. But there was a bullet hole in this roof that I took out today. Well, I think we can weld on this and skip that little middle section. Well, what do we got going on in the comments? Ballard goes racing. Root beer, gross. I like the brandy wine idea. Hopefully I don't have to buy this truck to paint it the color that we want. Because I'm not buying another car. I'm actually thinking about buying a cousin of mine has a 98 Dodge 12 valve, 4-wheel drive, extra cab, short bed. And I'm thinking about buying it. Of course it needs work, because why would I buy one that doesn't? It's got a rear end in it that's apparently blown up. I haven't seen it yet. It's got like 200,000 miles on it. So that would be a Mopar. And Phil's over here last night. And he's like, why don't we just take that 12 valve and put it in your station wagon? Yep. He said it. I didn't. What I didn't tell him is I had bought a 12 valve at one point for the Suburban. A 68 Suburban with a 12 valve, 2-wheel drive. That would be, and it would get like, you know, infinity miles per gallon because they get good gas mileage. But it would be cool to have a truck that could tow stuff and go in the snow. I haven't had a 4-wheel drive in many years. And I moved here 3 years ago, and I've needed one every year. I feel like it snows more here than anywhere. I mean, we get snow for like a week. Some of you are like, we get snow for 6 months out of the year. And I'm just thinking, well, why would you want to live there? I really like this wire. It's just, this thing's coming together. I actually think next weekend we'll be working on the wagon. Or maybe a Dodge pickup truck. The thing I like about the Dodge is it probably has windshield wipers. I don't have any windshield wipers on my Suburban. because I ordered replacement wiper blades for it and went to put them on, and it didn't work. So I just wadded the whole setup up and threw it in the garbage can because it was some cheap knockoff from the originals. I didn't purchase them. They came with it when I bought it. They've been on there for like 6 years. But man, I was so mad. So I'm trying to find a factory set of like, 67 to 72 C10 wiper blades. The whole wiper, the wiper arm and everything. Because these things, holy smokes, I just lost it. And I don't usually get that frustrated. I think I spent over an hour trying to get it to work, and those things, I'm just getting frustrated thinking about it. That's how frustrating it was. Wallace, what part of the world do you live in? And Ballard, you need to get back here. We got stuff to do. It's funny, Ballard. Phil and I were talking about how big of a commotion that would make by putting a 12 valve in a Tri-5. Because I'm sure somebody's done it. They just probably haven't admitted it, which I wouldn't care. But man, it's an interesting idea. Believe me, I've thought about it. But why not take that 56 station wagon and just put it on the Dodge four-wheel drive chassis? Because I've been wanting to put a winch on the front anyway. Which Chris keeps shaking his head about it. But if I'm going to take that thing up in the snow, I want to have a winch for when it gets stuck. Because I'm going to get that thing stuck. I guarantee it. I'm going to just bury that thing. But I'd like to do some adventuring, like out into the woods in hot rods. Like I see these, you know, like those off-road all-wheel drive cars. Maybe it's a Subaru or whatever, in the gravel, just ripping it up. Well, like, what is that roadkill Charger that they take up into the, what is that? Mayhem. They take out in the gravel and in the mud and rip around. I want a car that can do that. And that's kind of what I picture the wagon doing. But could I do that with a 12 valve? I guess you probably could. Because you can turn those babies up. And I think that the 97, it's a 97 Dodge. So it has the Bosch and it's a 12 valve. So I think that's the right one to get. What did I do? Oh my gosh. So you guys who have watched for a while know about my cart. Okay. Here's my cart. I keep my grinders on this and my hammers. I just wheel this thing around to the cars. And I've been using this thing now for like 2 years. And today, changed my life. I put air in the tires. Yep. This thing's got 30 PSI, which is probably way too much, in these little tractor tires. And this thing just straight up hauls ass. I can rip around the shop in this thing. Completely changed my life. Like I can like just push it and it goes where I want it to go. It's like got navigation and everything. Anyway, thought that was pretty cool. I was really excited to tell you guys that. Hammer time. Chicago, Kentucky. Cool. I think my dad was born in Kentucky. He was. So I'm pretty sure that Kentucky and Missouri, aren't they like right next to each other? I'd have to like look at a map. But my dad was born in Kentucky. Yeah. My dad was really cool. He was really cool. Great dad. Let's see if I can make this work. You know what? I think we're going to roll with this. It's just going to be what it is. Whatever. This thing will have character if I leave that there. If I make it look too good, yeah, we're just going to roll with it. We'll give it a reason to be. This thing will be at a car show and somebody will be like, why isn't that roof flat? Oh, Fast Eddie. He did that. Not just Fast Eddie. One Fast Eddie now. I changed that because I thought it was cooler than just Fast Eddie. I'm just going to stop looking at it and we're just going to weld this in. I don't think the owner's going to care. Uh-oh. I think I'm getting low on gas. I don't know what the deal is with this welder, but I have gone through so much gas. I think I've got a bad regulator or something. I'll have to call Walmart and see if they've got one. You know, whenever I feel down on my luck, I just go to Walmart, wander around for an hour. Usually end up leaving pretty positive. I can't believe summer's over. That went fast. But I did a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do. I guess if I move this light over here, I could see better. Yeah. Yes. Man, this looks horrible. I love it when something doesn't work right. I wanted to get Richard a Frisbee today, and they're normally $3, you know, for freaking plastic Frisbee. And they were $6. Couldn't believe it. Broke his heart. That dog, when it comes to the Frisbee, he's an absolute maniac. I'm not sure how high he gets in the air, but it's pretty cool. You'd think his owner would not spend so much on cars and buy him a frickin' Frisbee. He didn't have a choice. He was stuck with me. Oh, this bullet hole. I should have just cut this out. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that even more. We're getting there. I'm going to finish this section here and we're going to send this thing home. I wish. Kentucky. I'd like to make it out into that area. Ballard was talking about going to, I can't remember where. That sounded like a lot of fun. I just feel like there's a lot more cars, a lot more car stuff over in that area than, definitely, you know, a lot more car stuff over there than Southern Oregon. But even with California, California is just such a weird state anymore. Sorry if you live there. Should have bought a Prius. You know, that isn't looking that bad. I feel like I should just go for it. Stop picking at it. But if I just got this up. Yep. I'm sure that sounded nice. I apologize. Yep. Tomorrow is Monday. I used to take Mondays off. Trying to even think right now what I've even got going on tomorrow. I pretty much had the whole summer with nothing going on, and all of a sudden I'm building 3 houses. I mean, I'm not swinging the hammer, but I've got to be the guy that has to tell the other guy, you know, hey, don't forget to pick up your cigarette butts before you leave, because there's always got to be that guy, the guy that pays attention, and then the guy that's smoking, throwing a cigarette butts on the job site, which drives me absolutely nuts. I don't mind if you smoke, but my dad was a smoker for, I mean, most of his life. And he would wad those things up and he'd put them in his pocket. He would never leave them on a job site. And man, this framer guy, he just dumps those things all over the property. And I told him on this new job, I said, you cannot do that at all. And Friday, what did I find? So I had some words with him. I'm using the TIG rod. I've got a big hole, and I lay the TIG rod in the hole, and I hit the TIG rod with my MIG, and it just, then you just lay it in. And that hole that was there, you can't see it anymore because I welded it in. But anywho's, hopefully I didn't bore anyone. Well, I'm sure if you were bored, you probably just started to watch something else. But for now, the next thing we'll do is we will weld that center. We'll weld that whole center section on the roof. And it's not going to be fun at all. There's a lot of things I've done that are fun, and this isn't one of them. That is going to be it's just so much area. And the roof, you know, it dives in on this end and dives down on that end. So it's going to be tough to get this right. Maybe we won't get it right. We'll just get it gooder. Because this thing was caved in bad. I think what had happened is like it got covered with something really heavy, and it just, this thing was, it was like a pool for little people. Anyway, let's see if we got some comments. I see a lot of them. Let's see what we got going on here. That's cool. So you and your dad were car people. I have not done lead work. I'd like to. You know what? This would be the perfect thing to try that on. I see videos on it, but I don't think I want to smell the lead. It just, you probably saw the video where I took the lead out of the rear quarter panel on the wagon. That was gross. The smoke was just disgusting. Of course, you could put a mask on, but who does that? So, well, Wallace, thanks for all the comments. I love the suggestion on the brandy wine. And I'd like to see these chargers. And that 442. That thing's awesome. But I got to end this and go eat some dinner. And probably get ready for tomorrow. So thanks for watching.